Charles, I think this is our first Pope-themed video. The Grift Fest.
Wow, just watching what I saw of the Clinton Grifter Initiative, it boggles the mind. And I hope as we get over where we're going later, that we may encounter some Haitians. I mean, the notion that Pope Francis, I think, somebody whose career, shall we say, is checkered, putting it politely, that he would decide, after the foolishness that the Clintons have been engaging in with this Clinton Grifter Initiative for so long, almost, I guess this is the 19th one of them.
Wow.
There were several years where they didn't have it, but the foolishness of the Pope, in theory the leader of, the spiritual leader for some billion people, to not do his diligence, or worse, do his diligence and conclude that it makes sense to associate himself with this family that has never made an honest penny in its life, and in fact held this initiative without doing the required paperwork, without actually making sure that it was a public charity or even a charitable enterprise at all. The fact that they would do this and then dare to suggest that the family that looted Haiti is going to position itself with the Pritzkers of Chicago to loot Ukraine when we rebuild it. I mean, it's just, on the face of it, it's the kind of thing somebody whose working title for his autobiography was My Struggle, which is,
Mein Kampf.
Right. I mean, that apparently that was the working title for not just a day, for a long time. My Struggle. Dude, there's a guy with a mustache, short guy, created a lot of... Yeah, right. It doesn't make any sense for the Pope to do. That's before you get into thinking about what happened in 2006.
What happened in 2006?
Well, no, worse, some idiot kid had managed, I guess, well, by the 2006 Global Initiative, President Clinton singled out, I should just call him Bill Clinton, singled out this idiot, Raphael Follieri.
They're about to get robbed.
To do what now?
These people looking at the map are about to get robbed.
Yeah.
Follieri is a good topic.
Chelsea Clinton there. Right there.
What is it? Chelsea.
Let's say we're alone.
Is that her?
It looks a hell of a lot like her.
Chelsea!
Yeah, no. She's not gonna.
Not her.
What?
She wouldn't be walking alone,
I don't
and
know.
she would be up at the
Let's
Grifter
see.
Fest.
I mean, it looked a hell of a lot like her.
She is wearing a hat.
Let's just see if she goes in that. If she goes in that building, I think that is Chelsea Clinton. Maybe not. Anyway, let's not give her more airtime than she deserves.
Nah, that's not
That's
her.
where she belongs, with the garbage that she's pulled. But anyway, in 2006, Clinton singles out at the CGI, the second CGI, he singles out this Raphael Follieri as an example of great philanthropic endeavors. At this meeting. After that happens, the guy is promptly arrested and thrown in prison for fraud.
But you said that his father was somehow working for the Catholic Church.
He claimed his father.
Maybe he is, and maybe this is the Hunter Biden method of use your son as the cutout.
No.
Oh.
It's the con. The con just doesn't make any sense. It says, my father is an important official in the Catholic Church, so important that he has control over what surplus properties will be sold to pay off these pedophilia lawsuits that are bankrupting, the Catholic Church in America. So I can, because of my father's connections, I can basically steal from the Catholic Church to give you a bargain basement price to buy real estate.
Where do I sign up?
It's like, oh yeah. And then the guy, after he cons a few people and gets some money, next thing you know, he's living large in an Olympic Tower. He's got an office. He shows up in the office dressed as a priest, full regalia, all this guy with a hat and all this bullshit.
That's ridiculous.
And people fall for it. Doug Band gets him in to see Bill Clinton.
Do you know what it reminds me of, Charles?
Who?
Well, did you see Cannonball Run?
I probably.
Where Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin get the idea that if they disguise themselves as priests, they can avoid speeding tickets.
Yeah.
And then they have a Ferrari, and they're driving in the race in a Ferrari.
That's funny.
And Tom DeLuise They pull him over. They say, "We want to bless you," and he's like, "JJ, a black priest in a red Ferrari wants to bless us. Let's pull over."
Exactly. I mean, it's just on the surface. When somebody comes into your office, with a tale that just sounds too good to be true.
It is.
Associated with the Clintons, it's false. You just know it's false. It's total bullshit. Do the opposite. Run like hell. And anyway, I think I started to say if we run into our friends from Haiti, who generally protest around this time of year in New York City here, they need to show up in front of the Ukrainian consulate, the Haitians,
and tell them what's going on.
And tell them, don't you dare let the Clintons anywhere near.
But Zelensky wants it. He's there talking about climate change, wearing his gym suit. He's shopping at today's Fetterman.
No, Zelensky is so. I mean, the Babylon Bee just savaged him this morning.
What'd they say?
They said, first of all, that he gave his speech passing out collection plates.
Yeah.
And then he lectured our military for losing one of his jets.
What?
He didn't do that.
Well, we do. Oh, he didn't. Well, but we
Babylon,
should talk about that F-35.
We will. But
and also, we should let people know, Charles, that in just about 25 minutes, they're going to be able to join us in the First Amendment Forum on Odyssey.com/@Crowdsource the Truth. I think I may have mentioned to you, Charles, that Odyssey, it's the best way. Now, wait a minute. I don't have my video ready here. Odyssey is the most economical way for people to support Crowdsource the Truth and to access the sponsor exclusive content. I've been adding a lot of stuff even for free on Odyssey. People can go check it out. I've added back some of the videos that have been banned on other platforms, including the video that got me kicked off of InfoWars, where I exposed General McInerney, and also a video where I exposed Alan Parot, the Falcon guy. There's been some stuff happening with some of those people, so I've put that back, and for as little as $3 a month, people can join Odyssey, a great way to support the show.
That's great.
Thank you.
Let's go up parking.
Okay, yeah.
We haven't
A lot
done
of
that in a
noise
while.
and construction.
Yeah.
So, Charles, right now, people probably know but may not fully realize, basically every single jackass in the world is in New York because we've got the UN General Assembly, and I want to hear your opinion on this because, when I used to go to the National Association of Broadcasters convention or these various 3D things, there would always be some, like Sony, for instance, will have a big, gigantic party at the National Association of Broadcasters convention, some restaurant or club in Vegas, because they want to talk to you about their products and sell stuff, and they know that everybody in the industry is in town. Now, they're not a charity, Sony, and the idea that they would advertise their products and spend money at a time when they can, exploit a market, that's what you expect for-profit things to do. Isn't it kind of disgusting that the Clintons do this when they know all of these lecherous, international, globalist scumbags are going to be in town?
Well, especially the amazing thing about the Clintons is they really are, I think, inveterate criminals, all three of them. And like any arsonist, when you set a fire, I'm told, you want to go to the scene of the crime. You want to be there afterwards and see how people have reacted to what.
Right.
And when you look at what the bill has written, what Hillary's written, what the various and sundry people have said about why they set up the Clinton Global Initiative, it is a textbook admission of fraud. This is nothing more than a way to attempt to whitewash the stank. What?
The Good Hamburger place is right over there.
Okay.
Green line. They're trying to wash the stank off of the
Clinton reputation by showcasing their generosity.
Wait a second. Let's back up into the shade.
By showcasing their supposed great philanthropic good works. Bottom line, there is no Clinton Foundation. It ceased to exist.
People don't understand that when you say it to them.
It's a foundation to be legitimately tax exempt must be an organization. It must have articles, it must have bylaws, it must be properly constituted in any jurisdiction where it operates and especially solicits money. They have never done that since April 25th, 2005. Bill admits, actually Tom Golisano, who's a multi-billionaire who funded the first Clinton Global Initiative, according to his book, says that in March of 2005, he was having lunch at Chappaqua with Bill Clinton when Bill Clinton solicited him, said, look, I don't have enough time to raise the money for my first global initiative. Would you underwrite it? And Golisano says, sure, I'll do that. At that time, Bill Clinton was not an officer or trustee of the Clinton Foundation. The thing had no audit. It never had an audit, which you have to have in New York. Bill Clinton's wife was a senator for representing New York. She's supposedly one of the smartest lawyers on earth.
Now,
the two of them had to know that what Bill was doing was illegal. And Bill talks about it in his book, and in another book that Terry McAuliffe, they talk about the reason they did this is that it's good for Arkansas's business, the main foundation,
ADFA,
and good for the Democratic Party. That's why they say they did this presidential foundation.
But when you say Arkansas's business, you mean ADFA or just the business district where they're building up the...
Yeah, it would be as if pick a part of New York City that's wasteland right now.
My neighborhood.
Well, yeah. Well, take like a place that's an eyesore. That place where there's now open street prostitution in Flushing or somewhere.
Yeah, Queens.
It's as if
all of Queens.
A big portion of this city were derelict when it shouldn't be. And the Clinton Foundation campus of 27 acres or whatever it is, that's a lot of urban real estate. And they took an eyesore and created an international magnet for visitors and also for people who like the Clinton way. And
is the global initiative the thing that Epstein claims he helped him create?
Yeah, right. That's another one, right? Yeah, come to the Pope. Yeah, that's
the Pope is going.
And since you brought up F-35, there's a story in Babylon Bee saying that the military's just announced that they will never be able to find the Epstein client list because it was on that F-35 that crashed.
By the way, we'll talk about this more in the First Amendment forum because there's a lot of stuff about that F-35, but it apparently is the same aircraft type that crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania on 9/11 because they said, here's the debris field of the crashed plane, and it's just a bunch of dirt and knocked down trees. There's no plane there. So that's weird.
That is very weird.
And the thing is, Charles, if you've had kids, and I'm sure you come home and something happens, and there's been times where somebody explains, hey, XYZ happened, you observe what's going on, it matches the story, what they're saying makes sense, and that all makes sense. So you accept the story.
Right.
And then I would bet there's also been times where something's going on, and Dad, lightning came in through the window.
Right, exactly.
And set the whole thing, and it just sounds like bullshit, looks like bullshit, and can't possibly be true. So that immediately causes you to start thinking what actually happened.
Right.
And then the government says, well, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's obviously a crashed plane in that dirty forest.
Right. Right. But just if we can stay on the Clinton Global Initiative for a second, I mean, what a responsible oversight body would do is they would take every past attendee at the Clinton Global Initiative, every supposed commitment and dry clean every single one of them, looking, first of all, to see whether it was actually charitable, and secondly, whether the person who stood up and virtue signaled and said they were going to do something
actually made the payment.
Well, no. How much private benefit did they derive later? So, for example, and I'm not saying what?
We've been by this before. It's sort of New Orleans-ish.
Yeah. Faux New Orleans.
So, by example.
So, I'm not saying I have not dry cleaned Tom Golisano's foundation, but just looking through his Wikipedia entry and looking through the book that I have, he takes credit for underwriting the first CGI, and then later, he, according to Bill, gets involved in Bill's book, giving. He gets involved with Empire State Wind Farm Energy, and one wonders how much state and federal backing that company got after Golisano gets up and says, I'm nonpartisan, I ran in the Independence Party, then the Republican Party. Then it later says in the book, he's such a Republican that he donated a lot of money in 2008 to the Democratic Party. He's that Republican, you know?
I wonder, is he also donating money to the Cleaning Up Dead Whales Foundation to help the wind farm company?
Probably, and he's also, you know, he's on the Bill Gates program. He had a public company, paychecks that went from being worth nothing to being worth in the billions. And so this
guy's just going right through the red light.
Sure, why? It's a suggestion, Jason. The value of the paycheck stock went way up when it went IPO to whatever, and it's a legitimate success story, I think.
Paycheck's the payroll company?
Yeah, that's his.
Oh my God, they're assholes. I used them for years.
He created that company.
Terrible company.
All right, well, anyway, he donates appreciated paycheck stock, gets a big tax deduction for that, and then gets the virtue signal. But
that's New Jersey, I think.
No, it's in Rochester, New York.
Oh.
And he, I wonder about that company because
Paychecks? I hate it.
Well, because ADP is the rival,
yeah.
And you know, how does somebody with $3,000 take on ADP and win? I mean, what's really going on with that company?
That's a good question.
Think about it. Here we go. The Polish Institute of Arts and Sciences of America.
Actually, you know, Polish engineers are very smart.
Right.
And the Polish president gave some speech saying that Ukraine is like a drowning swimmer.
No,
and that,
Zelensky is.
Well, right, and that Poland needs to be careful.
Yeah, he's right.
He is right.
He's absolutely right. I mean, the Central Europeans have more recent experience with totalitarian dictatorships. Maybe we have now more.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least we pretend that we're not totalitarian. They were actually under the thumb. And you talk to a normal Polish person, and they'll lecture you about the dangers of the path we're on,
socialism,
the dangers of the EU. They are going to, they're going to pay a heavy price. This is nice. They're going to pay heavy prices, I think, for what's going on in Ukraine, letting if they let transit any missiles or anything like that are used to attack inside Russia.
Putin already said these depleted uranium munitions are essentially nuclear weapons.
Right. So
this is like when your wife is like, maybe you should start going to the gym, and you're like, fuck it. And then 2 years later, she's like, hey, listen,
half your shit is mine.
Yeah.
And
this is the rumblings, isn't it?
It sure is. I mean, it's. Wife says, you ought to think about going back to the gym where we first met. She looks great. You weigh 350 pounds. Say, you know what? I think I need more single malt.
But Putin saying that these are nuclear weapons or whatever, I'm joking, kind of, but this is the sort of thing that you'll look back on if this continues to escalate, which every indication is it is going to.
Right.
You'll look back and say, why didn't anybody listen to him when he was saying you're using nuclear weapons and we're going to respond?
Well, and conversely, you'll also say, why is anyone at this stage trying to listen to Joe Biden? Because he's obviously fucking stupid. He's bent.
Yeah.
He's, as Trump said months ago, he's shot. His mind is gone.
I actually meant to open by saying, which is basically what Joe Biden was fucking saying yesterday. It seems like he was drunk at the UN.
It's just we should stop pretending. It's the kind of if this were my father, or my relative, you'd say, listen, you're not going to be living at home anymore.
Isn't this stroke symptoms?
It's just this man deserves professional care, and he's the last person I would consult on any decision of any importance.
Does your diaper need to be changed, Joe?
He wouldn't know. He wouldn't know.
You better check it. Double check that.
Stop smearing applesauce on your ass and eating your diaper. I mean, seriously. And then the collection of morons around him. One is anybody who would work for this idiot is, by definition, a dangerous idiot. And we have inflation raging, the economy, oil prices back up. He's depleted the strategic petroleum reserve, and now you can't afford to refill it.
Well, then OPEC cut production to boost it even more.
Right. I mean, just everything this guy. And I was checking actually just before I met you. I was listening to Douglas McGregor, who has, I think, the virtue of sounding very believable, whether he's correct or not. and that can also be a voice if you're incorrect, a vice rather. But I think he's right.
Yeah.
And he's saying that he's hearing estimates for killed in action in Ukraine, just of Ukraine people, 400,000.
Yeah.
Okay, to put that number in perspective, killed in action, American, Vietnam War, 58,000, exactly, on a population that was then probably 150, where Ukraine now is down to 36 million. I mean, this is not, the very premise of this was obnoxious in the beginning, where all these fucking idiots with the Ukraine flag pins and crying were saying, listen, we're just going to let the Ukrainians get killed.
Right.
Don't you worry about that. This is a painless war. It's a zipless fuck.
Best money ever spent.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Lindsey Graham. I wonder how much he's getting out of this.
That woman looked Ukrainian.
Right, but so, it was just reprehensible that we would rush into a conflict saying, don't worry, our people aren't going to get killed. It's just the people in Ukraine. And at this level, this quickly.
Right.
I mean, that's a hell of a lot of people. Not to mention the fact that Ukraine's population has shrunk from 44 million down to 36 million.
Because everybody moved out?
And so that changes the whole
economic outlook.
Yeah, for the whole country. And you got all these refugees going through the streets of Europe on top of the African refugees. And what are these people trying to accomplish? It's not benign. They're trying to destroy the existing system so they can go ahead and say, we know what.
No license plate.
Sure.
Speaking a foreign language on the phone.
They're trying to destroy the existing system, the Cloward Piven strategy, and then because they're closest to power, say, okay, it's not our fault that we destroyed the system, even though we did. Cloward Piven. It's actually CLOWARD and PIVEN. It's an actual thesis that the way to
military strategy.
Well, no. This is the way to affect. Obama's all into this, and the Clintons. The way to affect Zelensky as well. This is you overwhelm the existing system,
right?
Hoping that it breaks down, and then you're the know-it-alls close to power.
Right.
You say, look, this isn't our fault. The reason the thing fell down is because the Constitution is flawed, and racism, and sexism, whatever.
This is obviously what they're doing.
Yeah, I know.
And also, Charles, we've only got 2 minutes until we continue the discussion in the First Amendment Forum. People can join us on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I've pulled some information, Charles, that I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
First of all, Mayorkas is testifying today in front of Congress. I think he's already
he's lying today?
done. Well,
you're going to lie today?
We're going to review all of that, but haven't had a chance to really listen to it yet today. But what I want to talk about is what they announced yesterday. So brazen, the day before he's getting grilled by Congress, he has created this Homeland Security Intelligence Committee.
Bozo the Clown is on it?
Well, I'm going to explain to everybody exactly what it is and go over some pretty surprising names and explain exactly what's going on with that. But we've got one last minute, Charles. Anything else you'd like to discuss before we make our way over to the First Amendment Forum? Oh, should we tell people where we're going?
No.
Okay, but it's becoming a little obvious.
We're going to Long Island City.
Right.
We're going to swim across the East River.
We're definitely not going to check out the UN pukes.
Right.
Cigarettes will kill you, man, but luckily you're right here. Wow, that's the coroner smoking.
Oh, man.
Oh, look. No smoking. Apparently, it doesn't matter.
That gives me high confidence.
Very good. All right, well, listen, we'll see everybody on the other side in the First Amendment Forum. Sorry, you were about to say something?
No, that's fine. See you momentarily.
Momentarily, yes. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.